Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be back.
Today we are taking on a topic that is just incredibly deep and pretty technical.
It really is.
We're going to be looking at some ancient knowledge, trying to strip away the noise and get right to the practical, usable parts, the aha moments.
We're talking about what the foundational texts call, and this is the direct quote, blissful meditations in the present life.
I mean, who doesn't want that? But we're going further. We're looking at the architecture of consciousness.
That's a good way to put it. We're exploring the practice of the Brahmaviharas.
Which translates to the divine abodes.
Or the immeasurables, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at their explicit role, and it really is often overlooked as an accelerant, a way to get to the deepest states of mental absorption, the states known as jhana.
And this all came from you, our listener. You came to us with a really specific, almost mechanical question.
A great question.
Yeah, fantastic one. You asked, how do these profound emotional states, love, compassion, which we often just think of as ethical ideals, how do they function?
Mechanically, how do they pave the way for real mental stillness?
Exactly. What are the steps? What are all the benefits? And crucially, how does this relate to anapanasati, the classic mindfulness of breathing practice?
Are they competing? Are they separate?
Or are they, integrated? Parts of one highly refined system. That's the core of the question we're tackling.
And to do that, our sources today aren't later commentaries or philosophical texts.
Right.
They're the detailed prescriptive instructions, the how-to guides, really, from the early Buddhist texts.
So this is the original blueprint.
It is a progressive blueprint for inner development.
Yeah.
It starts with ethics, moves through cultivating these pure emotions, and then culminates in these incredibly technical, unified states of absorption. It's a manual for mental mastery.
So our mission for this deep dive is to go beyond just the simple idea of, be kind. We want to understand how these heart releases, as they're called, work as targeted psychological tools.
Uncovering precisely how they clear the path to the higher mind, to knowledge and freedom.
We're looking for the how, the integration points. Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
So to start, let's just get the definition on the table. What exactly are the Brahmaviharas?
Right. So we're talking about 4 essential, expansive qualities. The texts say they're advised for cultivating liberation.
Okay.
The first is mettā. That's limitless love, or sometimes you see it as goodwill, kindness.
Okay, mettā.
Then there's karuṇā. This is compassion, but it's very specific. It's the active wish for suffering to cease.
Not just feeling sorry for someone.
Not at all. It's an active intention.
Yeah.
Then we have muditā, sympathetic joy, or rejoicing in the success and happiness of others.
That one can be tricky for people.
It can be a real challenge to the ego, which is why it's so powerful. And finally, upekkhā, equanimity.
Yeah.
A sort of unshakable, balanced perspective.
So love, compassion, rejoicing, and equanimity. These are often taught pretty casually, right? Like just be a good person, have these qualities.
Exactly. They're presented as virtues.
But you're saying that in these texts, they're not just virtues. They're systematic, rigorous practices that are designed to produce measurable results.
That is the crucial distinction.
So how do you make that transition? How do you go from the vague idea of kindness to a focused, powerful meditation?
It's all about scale and consistency. The instructions are to cultivate these feelings until they are, and the words used are abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will.
Limitless, that's the key word there.
It is.
Ah.
And the practice itself is often directional. It's structured. With mettā, for example, you typically start by cultivating that feeling toward yourself.
Which can be the hardest step for many.
It can. Then you extend it to loved ones, then to neutral people, someone you see every day but have no strong feelings about.
Like the person at the coffee shop.
Exactly. Then to difficult people. And once you can hold that feeling of goodwill even for them, you start to expand it outwards.
Geographically.
Directionally. East, west, north, south, up and down. The instruction is to saturate the entire world with this feeling until there are no boundaries left.
Wow. That really clarifies the difference, doesn't it? It's not just a passing thought. It's a full-on mental exercise in dissolving boundaries.
You're removing all limits on where that goodwill can flow.
And the sources say something very specific about when to do this, which I found fascinating.
Yes, this is a critical instruction. They specifically advise cultivating them when practicing in seclusion.
So when you're alone?
In a remote lodging. In the forest. The texts are very realistic. They acknowledge that the path to victory can be a solitary one.
The famous line, alone like a horned rhino.
That's the one. And if you pull yourself away from all human contact into silence, The mind can do strange things. It can get small, suspicious, isolated.
Can turn on itself.
It can. The Brahmaviharas are prescribed as the direct antidote to that. They prevent the mind from collapsing into darkness or contracting when you're alone. You are proactively generating these huge, healthy internal states when all the external noise is gone.
That just makes so much psychological sense. The moment you're alone, if you don't deliberately fill your inner world with something positive and expansive.
The mind defaults to its old habits.
Fear, judgment, smallness. So this is a tool for spiritual health in isolation.
Precisely. And the texts get even more functional. They explain what these practices provide an escape from.
They're called a heart's release.
Yes, because they fundamentally free the mind from specific, unskillful qualities. And these qualities are, more often than not, the very things blocking you from deep meditation.
The hindrances.
The primary hindrances, yes. We can map these releases directly onto them.
Okay, let's focus on that idea of release. It's not just generating a nice feeling, it's using that feeling as a targeted psychological counteragent. So, if the mind is stuck in a pattern of malice or ill will, what's the prescribed intervention from the sources?
The heart's release by compassion, by karuṇā. It's the explicit, direct escape from thoughts of harming, from malice, from cruelty.
And again, compassion isn't pity.
No. It's the active wish for the suffering of all beings to cease. If your mind is totally immersed in that active desire for relief, not just for one person, but limitlessly, there is simply no psychological space left for ill will or aversion.
It's like trying to hold hot and cold in your hand at the same time. You can't.
It directly counteracts hatred, which is one of the biggest hindrances.
So compassion is the functional opposite of the hindrance of aversion,
Yeah.
a purification mechanism. What about muditā, the sympathetic joy? That one can feel a bit less urgent than compassion.
It can, but its target is just as pervasive. The heart's release by rejoicing, muditā, is the explicit escape from discontent.
And discontent covers a lot of ground.
It covers envy, jealousy, general dissatisfaction. Think about it. When you genuinely and limitlessly rejoice in the happiness and success of others, you cannot, in that same moment, be feeling the bitterness of your own discontent.
You can't be envious.
Impossible. This practice pulls the mind away from that self-centered pain that comes from comparing ourselves to others.
Which is, that's a huge trap in the modern world, constantly comparing our lives to what we see from others.
A constant source of suffering. Muditā transforms that comparison. It turns it into a source of joy, not pain.
That's incredibly powerful. And the other two, mettā and upekkhā.
Mettā, that limitless goodwill, is the broad-spectrum antidote to ill will and hatred in all their forms. It just grounds the mind in this benevolent neutrality.
And equanimity, upekkhā.
Equanimity provides the escape from greed, from lust, from attachment, that clinging that creates so much suffering.
How does it do that?
By cultivating equanimity, we learn to see all beings as the owners of their own actions, their own karma. We wish them well, but we aren't attached to the outcomes. We understand they will experience the results of their deeds, and we can maintain our balance in the face of that.
So if we list out the 5 hindrances, sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. The Brahmaviharas seem to directly target the 2 biggest ones, desire and ill will.
The 2 emotional heavy hitters.
And at the same time, by cultivating them, you're generating the kind of tranquility and stability that naturally pushes back against restlessness in the others.
You've synthesized it perfectly. It's a foundational purification process. You are removing the internal friction before you even begin the really deep work of absorption.
Mind has to be clean before it can be truly stable.
It has to be. The practice is designed to actively remove greed, hate, and delusion, making the mind ready for that deep, unmoving stillness.
This brings us to a really crucial point. The sources hammer home again and again the prerequisite of ethical conduct.
Yes. This cannot be skipped.
Why does the success of all these profound spiritual practices, or even just a simple wish like being reborn in a better state, depend so much on whether a person is ethically pure?
The sources are completely unequivocal about this. They state that the wish succeeds because of purity, not because of intensity of will or some kind of magical thinking.
So it's not about just wanting it badly enough.
Not at all. It says if a person, through their actions, body, speech, and mind, has habitually done bad things, those actions create a kind of psychological and karmic contaminant.
What does that contaminant actually look like in terms of, mental suffering? What's the experience of it?
The texts link it directly. Unethical conduct, things like killing, stealing, lying, they directly create fear and enmity.
Okay.
When someone does these things, they obviously harm others, but the texts are just as interested in the harm they do to themselves. They create enemies in the world, and they live in fear of being found out, of retribution.
And there's also their own conscience.
And their own conscience. This mental pain and sadness is a constant background noise. It prevents the mind from ever truly settling.
I see. So an unethical person is always carrying this weight, this burden of regret and fear.
Always.
And that burden just fundamentally sabotages any attempt to meditate.
It completely undermines it. The texts say an unethical person has destroyed a vital condition for having no regrets. And this is the absolute cornerstone of the entire path.
No regrets, remorse-free consciousness.
Without that, you cannot start the chain reaction that leads to freedom.
Okay, let's follow that chain because this is so important for understanding jhana. If living ethically gives you this clarity, this state of no regrets, where does that lead next?
A mind free from remorse naturally experiences joy. The word is pamoja, a kind of gladness.
Right.
That joy, when it deepens, generates rapture or piti. This is a powerful, ecstatic feeling. It can be physical, mental, a real thrill.
And from that excitement,
That rapture allows the body to relax deeply. It leads to tranquility, passaddhi.
the energy calms down.
It settles. And that tranquil state then ripens into bliss, sukha, a calmer, more stable, pervasive happiness. And that bliss is the immediate precursor, the direct support for right immersion, for samasamadhi.
That is the entire spiritual engine just laid out right there.
It is.
And the ignition key, the thing that starts the whole engine, isn't some fancy breathing technique or deep concentration. It's the simple, profound act of living an ethical life.
If the soil of your life is polluted with unethical actions, the seed of meditation can't grow. The very first link in the chain, no regrets, is broken.
So the deepest states of meditation really do rest on the clarity of an ethical life.
They do. If someone is trying to enter deep absorption while, lying and cheating in their daily life,
It's not going to work.
the underlying current of guilt and instability is like constant internal static. It makes that stable, unified immersion basically impossible.
So the heart's wish of an ethical person succeeds because their purity has already established the necessary foundation of inner peace.
Exactly. The groundwork is already done.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we've set up this foundation of purity, but now we get to connect it to these incredibly tangible results. The Brahmaviharas are a cleansing mechanism, but the sources list 11 astonishingly specific benefits for practicing mettā.
Yes.
And they don't sound like vague spiritual platitudes. They sound like superpowers almost, comprehensive protection.
The list is amazing, but the texts add a very important condition. These benefits arise when the heart's release by love has been, and I'm quoting here, cultivated, developed, and practiced, made a vehicle and a basis, kept up, consolidated, and properly implemented.
Wow. That is not casual.
No, that intense language really underscores the point. This isn't passive reflection. This is an active, rigorous transformation of your entire emotional foundation.
Okay, let's walk through these 11 benefits. The first 3 are very personal, very immediate. They're about rest.
They are. They deal directly with the subconscious mind and how we recover. The first 3 are: 1, you sleep at ease. 2, you wait happily. And 3, you don't have bad dreams.
Which makes perfect sense. If your mind is genuinely free of enmity and ill will all day,
Right.
then your subconscious isn't spending the night processing conflict and threats while you sleep. The whole system is at rest because the internal conflict generator, hatred, has been switched off.
It's the immediate proof that your emotional state is becoming stable and healthy. It's a very practical return on investment.
A very quick feedback loop.
Very quick. Then, the next set of benefits moves outward. It describes how this cultivated inner state starts to project into your environment.
It changes your relationship with the world.
Fundamentally, both the seen and the unseen world. So number 4, humans love you.
Okay.
Number 5, non-humans love you.
Non-humans, that could mean a lot of things.
You could. Animals, spirits. And number 6, deities protect you.
So the sources are suggesting that mettā creates this palpable shift in your energetic field, your relational field. How do we understand claims like non-humans love you?
Well, you can interpret it literally or psychologically. At its core, it points to the power of a complete absence of fear and enmity. If a person harbors absolutely zero malice,
They become completely non-threatening.
to an extreme degree. In the traditional context, this is taken literally. Animals aren't afraid of you. Spirits are benevolent towards you. Psychologically, you could say the practitioner moves through the world without generating any internal resistance or hostility, and so their interactions are naturally more peaceful.
And the protection of deities.
That's the idea that by aligning yourself with the highest ethical principles, with purity, you are supported by the, let's say, moral structure of the universe, as understood by these texts.
You've created an aura of nonviolence so complete that the universe itself responds to it.
That's a good way to frame it. And this leads directly into the seventh benefit, which is the one that always raises eyebrows.
The most dramatic one.
Indeed. Number 7, you can't be harmed by fire, poison, or blade. This is the ultimate expression of that internal state. The concept here is that mettā, when it's cultivated to a limitless degree, acts as a literal shield. If you have absolutely no intention to harm anything in the cosmos,
then the cosmos has no intention of harming you.
the text suggests that physical harm cannot penetrate the safety net created by that state of pure goodwill.
That really elevates mettā from just a virtue to a tangible, protective, spiritual force. It suggests the inner state is primary and the outer world conforms to it.
It certainly emphasizes the transformative power of a purified and unified mind, the ability of consciousness to influence external reality.
Okay, so what's next? The final benefits seem to relate more to your personal presence and the ultimate goal.
They do. Number 8 is, your face is clear and bright.
You can see it on someone, can't you? When they're at peace.
It's the outward reflection of inner tranquility. The mind isn't tangled up in anxiety or stress. It's expansive and free, and the face shows that. Number 9, you don't feel lost when you die.
That's a big one, that clarity at the moment of death.
It's essential. The idea is that if your mind has consistently cultivated mettā for years, it has established a very powerful mental habit, a default state of peace and goodwill.
The momentum carries you.
Exactly. When death approaches, the mind's momentum will naturally follow that established pure path. It ensures clarity and freedom from confusion or panic at that critical moment.
And now we get to number 10, the one that directly answers our listeners' core question, the one that links all this heart work directly to the deep states of meditation.
Yes, this is the explicit connection. Number 10, your mind quickly enters immersion, samadhi.
Quickly enters immersion.
The texts are not subtle about this. Cultivating mettā doesn't just make meditation a little bit easier. It actively accelerates the mind's ability to enter deep absorption.
How, though? How does it act as an accelerant? Is it just about removing the hindrances, or there's something active in the feeling of boundless love itself that propels the mind forward?
It's both. The purification is absolutely critical. By cleansing the heart of hate and greed, you're getting rid of all the mental drag, the resistance that stops the mind from settling.
Right.
But the feeling of mettā itself is also a powerfully unifying force. It is, in itself, a blissful, expansive form of concentration. The mind, already unified in this amazing benevolent feeling, doesn't have to struggle to find a point of stillness.
It's already stable in a sublime emotion.
It is. In fact, mettā is so profound that it can be used as the direct object of meditation to enter the first 3 khanas.
So mettā doesn't just clear the runway for takeoff. It is the fuel for the initial takeoff into absorption.
That is a perfect analogy. And finally, the 11th benefit. This one gives context to the immense power of the practice, even if you don't reach the final goal.
Okay.
Number 11, if you don't penetrate any higher meaning, if you don't achieve full awakening in this life, you'll be reborn in a realm of divinity.
So it highlights the cumulative, lasting merit of the practice itself.
It does. The sources give these vivid examples. Practitioners who cultivated mettā for just 7 years were reborn in a divine realm for 7 eons of cosmic contraction and expansion. It shows that mettā is a powerful, systematic way of cultivating skillful action, or kamma.
It ensures a beneficial long-term result no matter what.
Exactly. It establishes you in a cycle of sublime existence, all based on purity and goodwill.
It's a staggering statement, really, on the power of inner kindness. It's not just a preparation for meditation. It is its own complete, highly beneficial spiritual path.
It is.
But since mettā ensures the mind quickly enters immersion, we have to turn to that state. What exactly is this deep absorption the texts are pointing to?
Right.
So when the sources talk about samadhi or jhana, they don't just mean focus or concentration, do they? It's something much more technical.
Much more. Jhana, or absorption, is the 8th and final factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. It's sammasamadhi, right immersion.
The culmination of the whole path.
It is. It's described as the highest level of stability and clarity the mind can reach before the real transformative insight can happen. The texts call these states blissful meditations in the present life that belong to the higher mind.
So they're not a side effect, they're a required mental platform.
An essential platform for genuine, lasting spiritual insight.
To understand how you move through them, we first have to understand the building blocks, the mental factors that define these states.
The 5 jhana factors, yes. These are the levers of the process. The absorptions are defined by whether these factors are present or absent.
Okay, what are they?
First is vitakka. That's the initial application, or placing the mind onto the object, like the feeling of mettā or the breath.
Like pointing a flashlight.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
The second is vikāra, sustained application. This is keeping the mind connected, holding it there, examining the object.
Keeping the beam of the flashlight steady.
Exactly. Then there's piti, which is rapture, a powerful ecstatic joy or thrill. It can be very physical. Fourth is sukha, which is bliss. This is a deeper, calmer, more stable happiness than the excitement of rapture.
And the last one?
Ekaggata, one-pointedness, the unification of the mind on the object. This factor is the backbone. It's present in all 4 jhanas.
So progress through the 4 jhanas is basically a process of refining the mind by letting go of the coarser factors.
You got it. You systematically let go of the supports until only the most subtle stability remains. You move from a state that requires effort to one of effortless, profound unity.
Okay, so let's break down the first absorption, pāma-jhana.
The first absorption is achieved when you've successfully found seclusion. Seclusion from sensual pleasures, and seclusion from those 5 unskillful qualities we talked about, the hindrances.
So the groundwork of mettā and ethical conduct has to be totally solid at this point.
It has to be. The hindrances are gone, the mind is ready to settle. And this state is characterized by rapture and bliss born of seclusion.
Born of seclusion.
Yes. And crucially, it's maintained by the active presence of placing the mind, vitakka, and keeping it connected.
Like the flashlight.
The flashlight is on, and you are actively holding it steady. These 2 factors are necessary to keep guiding the attention, to keep it from slipping back into random thoughts.
So this first jhana sounds like it might be the hardest one to stabilize because that active effort is still there?
It can be.
Yeah.
The mental effort is still palpable. You're consciously maintaining the focus, even while this incredible reward of rapture and bliss is happening.
Okay, so then how do you get to the second absorption?
The transition to the second jhana is defined by the stilling of those first 2 factors. Vitakka and vikāra cease.
The manual levers are released, the effort stops. What does that feel like psychologically? To lose the effort but keep the stability.
It feels like the mind has become self-sustaining. The active effort of placing the mind is now actually seen as a disturbance.
A ripple in the water.
A perfect image. In the second jhana, the mind is so clear and unified that the effort is no longer needed. The stability is just there, born of immersion itself.
So what are the factors now?
Now it's purely rapture and bliss born of immersion, along with that internal clarity in mind at one, ekaggata.
And the texts have a powerful analogy for this state.
A beautiful one. Imagine a deep lake fed by an underground spring. There's no water coming in from the outside. The cool water just wells up from within, drenching, steeping, filling the entire lake. No part is left untouched by this cool water.
So it's a self-generated total saturation of rapture and bliss.
It is. The rapture, the piti at this stage can be very intense, like bubbles rushing up through the body. It's still a very active, joyous state. But even that excitement is eventually seen as a disturbance.
It's the next level of coarseness to be transcended.
Which brings us to the third absorption, titiya jhana. This is achieved with the fading away of rapture.
The excitement is too much.
It's too stimulating for the ultimate stillness. So now the only factors left are bliss, sukha, equanimity, upekkhā, and one-pointedness, ekaggata.
This is a really important refinement. What's the real difference between the rapture of the second jhana and the bliss of the third? They were both present before.
Think of it this way. Rapture, piti, is excitement. It's a thrill. Like the joy of finally reaching a mountain summit and seeing the incredible view.
Okay.
Bliss, sukha, is the deeper, calmer contentment. It's the enduring peace of just being at that quiet summit, sitting and absorbing the peace. In the third jhana, the ecstatic excitement has faded, leaving only that profound, unshakable happiness.
And equanimity is a key factor here now.
It is. The noble ones declare that in this state, equanimous and mindful, one meditates in bliss. The analogy changes. Now the body is spread with a bliss that is free of rapture, a steady, unmoving contentment.
So we've moved from intense energy in jhana 2 to sublime, stable peace in jhana 3. We're getting closer to absolute neutrality.
Exactly. Which leads to the fourth absorption, jhana. This is achieved by giving up pleasure and pain. Even the most subtle traces of the former happiness, the sukha, are let go.
You have to give up even the bliss. Why?
Because even a deep, profound bliss is still an active feeling. It's still a conditioned state. And to get to ultimate clarity, the mind has to reach a point of perfect neutrality, free from all conditioned experience.
So what's left?
The fourth jhana is characterized only by pure equanimity and mindfulness, supported by one-pointedness. It is entirely without pleasure or pain.
Pure, bright neutrality.
That's it. The analogy here is of a person wrapped from head to foot in a pure white cloth. No part of their body is left uncovered by this pure brightness. The mind is luminous, neutral, and supremely stable.
And this supreme stability has a very specific function. The texts say this is the state used to still the physical process.
Yes, and this is the critical link we'll need when we talk about anapanasati. In the fourth jhana, the gross physical processes, heart rate, metabolism, even the breath itself, can come to a profound rest.
The breathing can seem to stop.
It can become so fine that it's imperceptible. The mind is so unified that the sensory input from the body is stilled. This state is the absolute pinnacle of concentration. It's the stable platform from which the real deep dive into the nature of reality is launched.
And this just highlights the difference between the practice and the attainment, doesn't it? The sources mention that a master like Sariputta enters these states without thinking about them.
Exactly. That's the final piece.
Okay.
A fully realized practitioner doesn't need the inner commentary. There's no, I am now entering the first absorption, or I have entered. The attainment is spontaneous and non-conceptual. They are simply in the state of freedom.
Mental scaffolding is gone.
It's no longer needed. The focus has shifted completely from the process of practice to the reality of the unification itself.
Okay, this brings us right back to our listener synthesis question. If the Brahmaviharas are so powerful, so effective at purifying the mind and getting you into jhana, what is the role of anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing?
Right.
Are they two separate roads, or are they two lanes on the same highway?
The second one. They're best understood as parallel and mutually reinforcing paths that converge on the exact same destination, right? Immersion.
One handles the heart, one handles the mechanics.
You could put it that way. Brahmaviharas handle the emotional and ethical purification. Anapanasati handles the attentional and physiological refinement.
So let's detail anapanasati. The texts call it very fruitful and beneficial. What are the key stages?
Well, the setup is classic. You go to a secluded place, sit cross-legged, body straight, and you establish mindfulness. The key thing to remember is that the breath is explicitly defined as an aspect of the body.
So this is a form of mindfulness of the body.
It's a central practice of it.
Yeah.
You start simply, you're aware of breathing in a long breath, breathing out a long breath, then a short breath, establishing that clear awareness.
Then from there.
It progresses to much deeper, more internal stages. The next step is practicing to breathe in and out while experiencing the whole body.
So your awareness expands from just the tip of your nose or your abdomen to the entire physical frame.
Saturated by the sensation of the breath. And then the next step is practicing to breathe in and out while stilling physical processes.
And there it is. That's the explicit bridge right back to the fourth jhana.
That's the connection. By consciously training the mind to refine and quiet the breath moving, from coarse to subtle, you are learning to stabilize the mind to the point where the physical process of respiration becomes minimal or seems to cease.
That's the hallmark of the fourth jhana.
It is. So anapanasati is the technical tool for manipulating the relationship between the mind and the body's processes to achieve that deep stillness.
So we really do have two engines running in parallel. The Brahmaviharas are the emotional purification system. They clear out the friction, the ill will, the desire.
Ensuring the mind quickly enters immersion because the internal battlefield is clear.
And anapanasati is the precision tuning system. It gives you a physical object and a technical roadmap for refining your attention right down to the level of the body's processes.
Leading directly to the stability and one-pointedness, the ekagata, that defines immersion.
So the relationship is interdependent then. One readies the heart, the other readies the attention. Could you do one without the other?
Well, you could try. But the texts imply that without the ethical and emotional purity from the Brahmaviharas, any deep absorption you get from just breath focus would be unstable.
Contaminated.
Potentially contaminated by underlying greed or aversion. The concentration might be there, but the foundation for right immersion, the kind that leads to liberation, would be shaky.
And the other way around.
Mettā alone can definitely lead to the jhanas, but anapanasati offers this incredibly powerful physical anchor for your attention. It can help stabilize and deepen those states even further, especially when you're moving towards stilling the body in the fourth jhana.
And this convergence is so critical because immersion isn't the final goal, is it? It's the launch pad.
It is. The sources are very clear that samadhi is developed in order to fulfill the 7 awakening factors.
Mindfulness, investigation, energy.
Rapture, tranquility, immersion itself, and equanimity. It's a feedback loop. The unified mind supports the development of these factors, and these factors then deepen the unification of the mind.
And that feedback loop is what fulfills the final goal.
Knowledge and freedom. Both Brahmaviharas and anapanasati are just pathways to ensure the mind is stable enough, clear enough, to conduct that high-resolution investigation into reality that's needed for liberation.
It's one integrated system. Ethical clarity feeds emotional cultivation, which feeds concentration, which leads to knowledge. It's all self-supporting. So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, someone committed to a serious meditative practice. It seems like we've pulled apart this ancient roadmap and found that integration really is the key.
It is. We've seen that cultivating the Brahmaviharas, limitless kindness, compassion, rejoicing, equanimity, that's the active purification process. It removes the emotional blocks.
So your mind can quickly enter immersion. It's the work on the heart.
Exactly. And then the practice of anapanasati provides that technical physical pathway. You go from simple awareness of the breath to actively stilling the physical processes.
Addressing the body, the stability of attention, refining concentration, all the way to absorption.
They're 2 complementary doors into the same room.
Yeah.
The unified mind of right immersion.
But as we close out this deep dive, I want to circle all the way back to the very first thing we talked about, the component that is so easy to overlook.
The provocative thought to leave you with.
It's that initial foundation, the thing that makes all the jhanas, all the bliss, even possible.
Yes. Ethical conduct.
It seems so basic.
But the sources state unequivocally that an ethical person has fulfilled the vital condition for having no regrets.
And from no regrets comes that whole profound chain.
Joy, rapture, tranquility, bliss, and finally, right immersion.
So the most profound spiritual achievements, these blissful states of absorption, the ultimate freedom from suffering, they don't start in the deep forest or by manipulating some subtle energy. They start in the simple, unwavering clarity and peace of an ethical life, a life free from remorse.
If you're engaged in actions, in speech, in thoughts that create fear or enmity or regret, you are perpetually sawing away at the foundations of your own meditation practice.
It's self-sabotage.
It is. The most profound journey begins with the simplest step, conducting yourself well. Making sure your mind isn't weighed down by the burdens of your own past misdeeds.
That is the ultimate accelerant. The deep dive into the higher mind starts by simply being a good person, ensuring your conscience is clear.
Without that ethical baseline, the mind will always be troubled. And a troubled mind, by its very definition, can never enter the profound stillness of immersion.
It can't happen.
Exactly.
Thank you. This has been an extraordinary look into the mechanics of the mind.
My pleasure.
And thank you, listener, for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.